Welcome to Brothers Custom Builds. Progress on the Fairlane is absolutely flying right now, and we have a ton of stuff we want to catch you up on. A big reason for why progress is going so fast is because for the first time ever, my brother and I are both blessed to be able to work full time for the company. And it makes me want to say thank you for all your support, helping get the word out. It's generating business. I'm so thankful for that. Now, with the progress on the Fairlane, because healthy things grow and growing things change, we're going to have to change up a little bit on how we've been doing these videos. Before, I've been doing the videos of me just working along and videoing it. We're going too fast for that right now. I'll try to get what I can, but for the most part, I'm going to have to do videos like this where I'm just giving you an update on everything that we got done. So for right now, let's jump into that update. I'm going to start underneath the car with the plumbing, and then we'll move from there, and I'll get as much of an update for you as I can. Let's get to it. From the underneath, you can see coming out of the bottom of the residual pressure valves, got these 9-degree fittings. This one running back to the back brakes, that one there running to the line lock on the frame, and then over to the front brakes. But let me spin around, I'll show you. Also, the plumbing for the hydraulic throwout bearing worked out really nice. It's secured to the sheet metal there. And it's set up so that this bleeder line, when you're not bleeding it, you can just tuck it up in there and it'll stay nice and tight to the back of the bell housing, stay out of the way. If you remember here, drilled through the floorboard framework, put that tube in there so the rear brake line could come through that. As you can see, there's a rubber grommet in there to seal it and keep the brake line from vibrating around in there, but that worked out really nice, taking our brake line over to the other side. Here you can see the brake line coming out on the other side and then running up the frame over to the back brakes. Start back here with the fuel cell on the fuel system. Mounted in there really nice. Just had to make a few adjustments to get a little more room underneath here for the outlet fittings on the fuel cell. But everything's working out good. We got a sending unit wired up, rollover vent in, and then the fuel return we just have capped off. We don't need that in this system. But let me climb underneath and show you what's under there. Underneath on the fuel tank, one of the things we had to do, we had to lower it a little bit to clear the AN fittings. So we used some spacers here. Both the straps are on the bottom of this framework, but that got that low enough. So this end's just plugged off. We got our hard line running over to the pre-pump filter. After the pre-pump filter, everything else that was already built and plumbed is all installed now for its final time. So I'll slide on up. See how it worked out well for the post filter going through the frame rail. It comes out over here. That turned out real nice. Very happy with that. The fuel line itself altogether is just super clean and tidy. And then from underneath, the fuel line comes up, connects to the regulator with the gauge, and then connects over to the carburetor. But while I'm here, let's talk about this trick firewall here. The obvious thing you can see is that blinging firewall. Did that without the owner's permission, to be honest. Wanted a little bit of a pop underneath the hood when the front end tilts up. So that firewall is all steel. The outer one is a thin steel. So what we did, we got from Prismatic Powers, we used their chrome powder coat. Since our powder coat oven's big enough to fit these elements, these pieces in there, so we did the chrome powder on that. I mean, it looks incredible for powder coat on steel. So we're really happy with it. Happy that the owner, even if he's not happy with it, is letting us keep it in there. Just think it's a nice little touch. and ties in well with the powder coated rear coilovers on the black in the back end there. So it just connects all the pieces together. I jumped a little ahead. What I should have included, so I'll back up, is going over welding the frame to the body. So let's jump into that now. Tying the frame to the body, we were able to get full welds here on the A pillar, and then back here on this bracket on the B pillar, tied all the way around. Can't really see that bracket weld, it's up in there. So we're able to get those tied in really well. And then where the outriggers are on the frame coming over to the body, those are all fully welded around. So it's nice and strong and secured. So before I get this inner firewall in, I want to give you a look at how all the wiring's going. Over here, this is a power wire coming from the master shutoff switch on the back bumper, and it feeds over, get you a better look there, and dips down. And this goes to the center console to the secondary shutoff switch. From the secondary shutoff switch, that power cable there comes up. It'll go through this grommet to the starter solenoid on the other side. Out of that grommet will be this other cable that's going out the firewall. So that's all that for the battery and the starter. But then all these other wires coming out of the fuse block, you can see how I like to braid individual circuits together to keep them nice and tidy. It's going through the loom. That one's going up to the firewall and beyond. So it's coming together real nice. These two wires, this -8, that's from the alternator, and then runs straight back. So from the alternator directly all the way back to the positive post on the battery. So that way, anytime the shutoff switches are killed, everything shuts off, nice and safe. All right, also, we have on the back side of this nut, this 1/4-inch bolt is what holds the fuse block on the other side. On the back side of it, I have this ground wire, and I also have the ground wires from the relays on the fuse block looped around and tied into that. This will go down, this will feed down there to where I welded a 3/8 stud on the frame. So that'll be a chassis ground there. And then on the other side of it, I left it a little long. Let's see if I can zoom in. I left it a little long so that if we ever needed to use that, let me get this out of the way. If we ever need to use that as a ground on this side of the firewall, we can. It's a good ground there for a test light or anything. All right, now with the inner firewall installed, you can see all the wiring components are concealed behind this foot panel for the passenger side. It's easy to get access to it. It's just a 1/4 turn fasteners. It's hinged on the bottom so it swings down. And if you remember in previous video, it also includes provision for a 7AL box if the owner ever decides to go that route. But then here in the center console, you see all the switches. It's not a lot. It's just 3 different switches, fuel pump, fan, and then the light switch is a 3-way switch. And then this is the secondary shutoff. So if you turn this off, it kills everything in the car. You turn it on, it powers everything. You can see how the push button start illuminates. The 3-way light switch, I've got it wired. It's got a 1-way diode on the underside. So when you trigger the parking lights come on, but it also, when you trigger the headlights, it sends power still to the parking light side without going the other way around. So that worked out really nice. So under the hood, we've got the wiring coming out of the grommet and the firewall, down the frame rail, extends down the frame rail over here to the top of the frame where it's got enough slack for the hood to hinge. And then it's tied all to the hood mechanism or framework. And it just goes to the lights from there. So pretty simple, nice, clean, and tidy. And then we've also got the electric fan wired up here. Show you underneath how the wiring is tied to the underside floorboard and running up the tunnel. All secured really well going up to where the switches are. So nice and tidy, safe, and out of the way. Here in the back, you can see alternator wire and fuel pump trigger wire are coming back. Tie in here to the positive of the battery. Battery cable wiring is secured nice going out. And I'll show you the underside of that. The trigger wire for the fuel pump runs to this fuel pump relay back here. And the fuel pump is housed under that cover. So let me show you the underside. From under here, you can see the battery cable wires running to that primary shutoff switch are all nice and secure to the frame. So nothing moving around.